we just got some late breaking news. In case you haven't been by your phone for the last, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes, it has been confirmed that President Trump has indeed contracted the coronavirus. He announced it as officially as Trump gets on Twitter just a short time ago, saying, "Tonight, at Flotus and I tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately, and we will get through this together." Now, all of this started earlier today when it was announced that his one of his top aides, Hope Hicks, had tested positive herself earlier this morning. And the weird part about this is that, anyone who goes to the White House or is around the president has to do a COVID rapid test. And Hope Hicks, being, one of Trump's closest aides, has been around him pretty closely for the last couple of days. And, Trump took the test early this morning, and the kind of thought process was that, he should know within 15 minutes of whether he had it or not. Despite that, reportedly, the president kept traveling all day. He kept up his schedule. Apparently, he went to a fundraiser today, and just this evening announced that he has the coronavirus. And so now it's a question of, this has a lot of far and wide-reaching implications, right? And it's hard to know which thing to get started with. The president of the United States, Trump, whether you like him or don't like him, is the most powerful person in the world. And so the idea that the most powerful person in the world has to be incapacitated or has to be quarantined could be a problem. And it's a question now, has Mike Pence been exposed? Did they meet after the debate? Have they met in the last couple of days? Because as the White House is now learning, and a lot of people have known with the coronavirus, whether it's the NFL or other organizations, is that you can have all the testing in the world, and the testing just lets you know if you're sick. This past weekend, the Tennessee Titans played the Minnesota Vikings. And, you might not be into football, but essentially what had happened was the Tennessee Titans knew 2 personnel were positive for the coronavirus. They tested everyone on Saturday, 2 tested positive, and they did not travel with the team or take part in the game. And since then, on, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, it was announced that a few players had tested positive. And so then all of a sudden the Vikings, the Titans are trying to look at the tape, see who they came in contact with. But the testing works great, but with COVID-19, there's a 3-day incubation period. So you might test negative in the morning, but you're, positive in the evening. And it's a question of how long you're contagious for, or how many people have you possibly infected. And so in the last, 2-3 days, we had the debate. And so it's a question of, Trump obviously met a lot of folks at the debate, not wearing a mask, of course, though he did pull one out of his pocket. He had it on him. But, who did Trump expose? Who was Trump exposed to? Where did Hope Hicks pick up the virus? Did she pick it up at the debate and traveling with Trump since then? Is that where Trump got it? We just don't know right now. There's not a whole lot of ways to figure that out. And so, as with the coronavirus, Trump is supposedly, he's feeling fine right now, is the word. Hope Hicks is showing some sort of symptoms, but Trump could be in a rough fight here. As it's been widely noted that the effect of how hard the coronavirus is going to hit you has a lot to do with your overall health. We're still figuring out some things about it, but one of the things that has been definitely confirmed is that if you're maybe a little overweight, you might have a tough time with it. And Trump is not exactly, I know he's put out a lot saying that he is in the best shape, the best health ever, but looking at the guy, he is not exactly in the best shape. There's also a measure of your health. How active are you? How healthy are you? And again, he doesn't seem like he's the most active guy. Just throwing that out there. And he is a little older. I can't remember his exact age, but I do know he was the oldest person to become president. And so there's a lot of things that could not be working in Trump's favor here. Right now, President Trump is looking at a possible quarantine for possibly 14 days. That could be something, I think that's something that's mandated by the CDC. So it's a question of, okay, if he starts quarantining now, of course, as we have to look at this within the eyes of, we're in the middle of an election right now. And so there's only 32 days till election day itself. So Trump could spend the next half of that in quarantine. And the interesting thing about this, and the interesting thing with COVID, is that, people kind of hear that quarantine and think, okay, all right, maybe I'm sick for, 14 days. That's not bad. But that is kind of the best case scenario. Best case, you get it, you catch it early, you realize you're positive, and the virus runs its course in 14 days, hopefully. Now, I had a friend who had the coronavirus, and she got it, and her husband got it as well. They went out, they, were outside, they were socially distanced, made a small mistake in trying a drink from someone. They just kind of didn't think about it. Turns out that friend was positive. They both became positive, and they're not even quite as old as Trump, but they were quarantined for weeks. I mean, I think it was like 5 or 6 weeks before she could actually leave the quarantine, because the idea is that you have to test negative twice. And the scary thing for me is that I'm a small business owner. It'd be hard for me to be out for 5 or 6 weeks, not working, not making a paycheck. And so it's a question now of is Trump going to be quarantined for that long? Could be quarantined past election day. I had a whole segment planned wondering if there's going to be another debate, and the big question now is Trump able to leave the White House? So there's a lot of unknowns here. It's one of those weird things where that for months and months, Trump seemed to be out, not wearing a mask and refusing to wear masks out in the public, whether it was any kind of event he was doing. The first time he actually wore one is at Walter Reed Hospital. But for a while, he wasn't wearing a mask. He's been holding these rallies, not paying attention or not following any of the guidelines, just packing people in. For him, it's been a political move to move past the coronavirus and try to get the economy running, because quite frankly, he realizes that he has not done a great job here. And so, he's been kind of playing with fire for the last couple weeks. So it seems shocking that this has happened. And obviously, I wish the best for him and the First Lady. Politics aside, that's our president. That's the leader of the free world. So obviously, you hope for a fast recovery. You hope that they stay healthy and that they're going to be okay. But in a practical sense, it's kind of strange. Like, how do we move forward from this? Because that's the president of the United States being sick, and potentially with his age, his health, potentially could be very ill, or could get very ill. That's a very scary place for our country to be in. Again, politics aside, whether you love Trump, hate Trump, it's kind of a scary thing when the guy, sitting at the top of the president of the United States, the guy with the nuclear codes, is positive with this deadly virus. And as we have found out from these tapes from Bob Woodward, Trump knows how deadly this thing is. And so this is very, very serious news here.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for watching Citizen Pete. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, click that little subscribe button, maybe the like button, and hey, maybe just leave a comment. I want to know what you're thinking. What do you think about all the politics, the news, and all the stuff that's going on in our country?